Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're so glad you're here. It's another Friday. We've got AIHM Wellness webinar. And today we've got a special topic. It's a little bit different than what we usually do. We're going to get to discuss social media for your practice. So we hope everyone joining today or seeing this in the recording is going to get a lot of really good information. We're so glad you're here. And as everyone's joining, a little bit more about the Academy of Integrative Health Medicine. We're a global interprofessional integrative health association, and we're working to transform healthcare, body, mind, spirit, community, and planet. And we've got a long history of a few different organizations joining together, and most recently we've merged with the Academic Collaborative for Integrative Health. So it's been really an exciting history, and we welcome everyone in our community that is part of this effort to bring integrative health to as many people as possible. And just a reminder, we put all of our webinars on our YouTube channel, so you're welcome to go there. You can subscribe and get a notification when we put up a new post and see these and review the content for later reference. And we also are on Facebook Live, which is a great way. Those are on our Facebook Live, our AIHM page, and you can connect with others there, and it's also got closed captioning available for those that find that useful while you're watching our webinar. So I invite you to check that out if that's helpful. For those that don't know about our Integrative Health Fellowship program, we are welcoming new applications. Currently, we've got a cohort that's going to start in the fall this year, our 13th cohort. It's really, I get to work a lot with fellows. I'm the academic success manager, and we have a community of fellows that are learning so much. It's a 2-year, 1,000-hour curriculum, and it's super transformational for people that are clinicians that are interested in learning how to bring integrative health into their practice, how they practice health and medicine. And we invite you to reach out to fellowship@aihm.org if you want to learn more. You can go on the AIHM website and just read a little bit more about what that fellowship has to offer you. So please do so. So on to our special guest today. We've got Joanne Hernon. She's part of the Growth Ledge Agency, and she is an accomplished marketing and sales leader with over 17 years of experience. She is an expert in website design and development, social media, advertising, branding, email marketing, SEO, and much more. And she's going to share all of her skills around creativity to deliver more so that you can gain more customers, clients for your business, patients that can know what it is you have to offer and then access you through your websites and social media. She's innovative, decisive, and fast, because even the best campaign won't convert if it's not actively running. So she's going to share a lot of that information with you, and we're so grateful, Joanne, for you joining us today and sharing your knowledge, and I want to hand it over to you. Welcome. Oh, you're still muted.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for allowing me to talk to you all today. We certainly get a lot of questions here at Growth Ledge Agency about social media. It's a really fun way to engage with your audience, but it also can be very burdensome. So I want to give you some tips to talk about the different networks and how to engage with your audience within those different networks. And hopefully you'll come away with some actionable items that you'll be able to use right away in your social networks. So we started doing some research, and this data we really found interesting, that Americans really do look at social media for who they could go to for health answers. We do know about Dr. Google, where people will Google their symptoms, but it was interesting to see how high these numbers are, where people are really looking to find their providers on social media. So 75% use social media to research their health symptoms. 80% look at their provider reviews on social media outlets to decide on who they may want to see. 90% of individuals between 18 and 24 trust the information they see on social media. And 32% of millennials took health-related actions based upon information that they learned on the social media, meaning they reached out to those practices that are active on social media. So we thought, you know, then being that type of provider that's providing amazing service, we're helping to save lives by keeping up on our social media networks. So we get this question a lot. This is usually the first question we get, which is, what network should I be using? There's so many out there. Which one should I focus on? Now, for the purposes of this presentation, we're going to address the big four of there's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We're not going to talk about TikTok. It tends to skew much younger. And is used a little bit differently. And there are a lot of other different social media networks out there, but we want to focus on those big four. So the first, so the other thing is that's really important is to decide you can't be everywhere all at once. So you want to make sure you're very busy practices, and you want to make sure that you're focusing on the networks that you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Like I said, there's TikTok, there's other ones, there's YouTube, which is great, there's Pinterest. But it's really important to zero in so that you can get the highest, best use of your time on those networks. So let's talk about Facebook to start. So Facebook does skew a little bit older than some of the other networks. I would say not millennials, but even a little bit older. So Gen X and boomers are more on Facebook. With Facebook, you really want to, the great thing about Facebook is that you're able to post articles. You can share other people's blog posts or articles that you find in the news that you find interesting. You can, Facebook loves video. So the more video you can upload to Facebook, the better. The 40 character posts receive 86% more engagement. So that's not a lot of words to be putting in the posts, and posts with photos get 39% more interaction. Some of the downsides to Facebook is that the growth there, as it applies to the growth in your audience or the growth in your, where you can see people liking, or you can see in Facebook what your reach is very narrow. People use hashtags, and we're going to talk about hashtags when we get to Instagram, but Facebook doesn't use hashtags. You'll see people adding hashtags to their posts, but it doesn't really operate that way. And the algorithm for Facebook makes it so that even people who follow you may or may not see your post. It really doesn't surface posts like Instagram does, which we're going to talk about next. But what's great about Facebook is that the more you respond to your audience, the more you ask them questions to answer in comments, the more you make sure that you like what they say, the more responses and comments you'll get. So organic conversation is a great way to increase your fans and your audience in Facebook. Then there's Instagram, which happens to be my personal favorite, which is very visual. Instagram needs to be highly designed And it needs to look appealing as a whole and look appealing as separate posts. With hashtags, what's great about hashtags and what's great about Instagram is, unlike Facebook, where the algorithms sometimes kind of hold posts away, you don't get surface things that you're just interested. Instagram is the opposite. So if you happen to look at a picture of a Chihuahua, you're going to start to see more pictures of Chihuahuas. Instagram understands the kind of content you want to see, and part of that is driven by the hashtags. So as a medical professional, if you were using hashtags like hashtag gut health, maybe hashtag hormones, hashtag, you know what your audience is and what kind of maybe, the areas that you practice, and you start to use those hashtags, people who are interested in that, let's say you're interested in hormone treatment and you are posting and you're the doctor that deals with hormones, people who are looking at your feed, at their own feed, will start to see more and more content surrounding hormones, so that you have that possibility of getting in front of a potential patient who has those issues. Hashtags are also the way that people follow. Sometimes people may or may not actually follow your account directly, but they'll follow those topics. We talked a little bit about the visuals. So images that pop, you want to make sure that you have a variety of images, that images with faces get 38% more likes. Images with the single dominant color get 17% more likes, which is interesting. A lot of times we will do very plain posts with, you've probably seen it, with just a quote on it, and that's a great way to spread out your content and also get that dominant color, and it breaks up the eyes when people are looking at images. And Instagram stories, 1/3 of the most viewed Instagram stories are from businesses. And then they also have Reels, which can be used in Instagram Live. And so it's great to use all of those tools in a way to engage your audience. And the other thing that's really important with Instagram, and we see this a lot, is you really want to be cautious about overselling yourself in Instagram. You really want to think of it as a way to give information, and maybe about 30% of your posts are actual, maybe 20% of your posts is actually selling something. So you really want to be careful about how you plan out your content. LinkedIn is another amazing way to connect. It tends to be a little bit more business to business focused, and it also requires a higher level of quality of content. So this is where you can really dig deep into thought leadership content, or if you're doing PR about your practice, this is definitely where you want to post it. If you're doing blogs, you want to make sure that you're posting it in LinkedIn. And you want to also post any kind of company news or practice news that's relevant. You know, if you brought on a new clinician or new staff member, this is where you want to promote it. The way that LinkedIn is organized is a little bit where you have your own personal, and then your company profile. You may notice that your personal profile will get more engagement than that company network. People don't follow company networks as much as they connect to individuals. So if you are creating a company profile and you are posting to that company profile, you should make sure that you also post it to your personal, reshare it to your personal profile, and also have all of your employees, all the clinicians and everybody else also post that to their own personal feed. And then you want to make sure that you have a dynamic and exciting personal profile. You may notice that some people have their title in the profile. You could choose to, instead of having a title next to your name in your profile, change that with what problems you're solving. I help patients ... might be a different way to present yourself in LinkedIn. And then you also want to make sure that you fill in all of the fields in your LinkedIn profile, and that's how LinkedIn gauges how valuable you will be to other members. The other thing to do, which is great to do in LinkedIn, and by the way, every other network as well, is if you're doing any type of partnerships or you're mentioning other people's articles, always connect them and put their name in the profile, or in the share, because it tags them, and that can build some reciprocity. That will build the engagement. They will engage with your post, which will help you also be seen by their networks as well. And I do see we have some questions coming up, and we are going to get to those at the end. So hang tight. Then there's Twitter. Twitter seems to be where people are hanging out less and less, unless you're in certain areas. Politics, it's very popular. Kim Kardashian happens to get arguments with people in Twitter all the time. It's not somewhere where a lot of people hang out. And what you'll find is that if you're in Twitter, you'll see that the people who are following you tend to also be the same people that are in your industry. So it's really hard to reach those individual patients or individual consumers through Twitter. Hashtags, again, are very important at Twitter. The way to grow your network in Twitter is to follow people, and that's why you're going to get those followings from other people within your industry, is because they want to follow as many people, because then you get more followers. But it is a great way to build your, if you go in there and you spend time once a week just following people, you'll see your network will grow pretty quickly. And then the other piece of information is that, you've got 280 character limit. So you've got to get to the point, you got to get to the point fast. But you can use links in Twitter, which is also a great place that if you wanted to promote your PR, your blog posts, you're able to do that in Twitter. And also, you can get more engagement by retweeting other people's tweets, other followers, other customers, even competitors. The more you retweet other people, the more they retweet you, and the more engagement you will get on Twitter. And this is advice for all the networks. So you want to be, social media is an opportunity to share who you are, for people to really get to know you. And so it's okay to show a little bit of personality. People want to see that. They want to see, pictures of you if you even go on a trip. I had a post where one of my little rescue dogs is, loyal, and talking about customer loyalty. You want to, if you're at an event, if you are meeting with people that are in your industry, or you want to share those pictures as well. People love seeing pictures of yourself, meeting with other people out and about. So let's talk about the social media planning. So we went through all the networks, and so this is the time that you want to sit down and look at what are going to be the most important networks for my organization, my company, my practice. You can use Twitter to find new partners, to find influencers, Facebook to build brand awareness, and LinkedIn to build corporate clients and possibly even other corporate partnerships. So you want to really narrow it down. And one of the biggest issues that we have with a lot of our clients that are doing their own social media is, how do I find enough time to keep up? Because social media is a content eating machine. It just is constantly needing new content. So that's why you really want to narrow it down to exactly the networks that you believe are going to be best for your practice. And then you want to target a precise audience, really understand who they are, where do they live, how old are they, what are their interests, and so that you can really understand how to deliver content for them specifically. You may have more than one buyer persona, and if that's the case, define each one of those, and then you need to start to look at how you're going to deliver content to each one of those buyer personas. So once you've figured that out, you figured out, okay, now I've got where I'm going to target, and then I got figured out who I'm going to target. Then it's time to create your social media plan. So the first thing you want to look at is your branding. And what you want to do is create a social media design strategy. What that really means is, what are my posts going to look like? Create some standardized posts that you're going to use over and over again with your brand colors, with your logo on it. If you want to do things like you want to do a quote every other week, and you want to do a testimonial alternating weeks, then maybe you want to have a design that's going to be for your testimonials that's specific to that, and a quote design that's specific to that. So when somebody's looking at your feed, they're like, oh, this is a quote post, this is a testimonial post. So you can create that design strategy. We love to use Canva because it's so easy to create those templates and that design strategy. With Instagram, sometimes we create an Instagram pattern. There's some great pros and cons to creating a pattern. The pros for a pattern is that your Instagram feed is going to look beautiful when somebody looks at your entire feed. The cons to that is that you really have to be good at planning it, scheduling it, and you can't change it. So if something comes up and you're like, oh, I wanted to stick this post in at this date because, you know, it was an unforeseen event that I got planned to, it will ruin the whole pattern. So that's why we try to create a tempo to the posts, and that design strategy will help you create that tempo and make it look beautiful as a whole. We talked a little bit about the messaging. This is where you would define what, once you've created that the audience and the messaging, you want to research your competitors. You want to develop that value proposition and then create the content for each network. One big mistake I see sometimes is people will cross post. What that means is that on Monday, they'll post something and they'll post it to all networks on the same day. And it's not the greatest way to do your social media. You really should have social media that's a little bit different on Instagram than what you would do on LinkedIn and what you would do on Facebook. You can post the same content on all 3 networks, just not the same day. Spread it out. So if you do have something like a blog that you want to post on Monday, just spread that out on Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I want to come back to Instagram because I just thought of something that I forgot to mention. Instagram posts don't allow you to link out. So I would not put links to articles or blogs within your Instagram posts. You can do a link in a bio, you can do a link tree in your bio, but we just tend to stick away from getting people to link anywhere out of our Instagram. We just use the other networks for linking out. The next thing you want to do in your planning is decide on your cadence. Do you want to post every day? Do you want to post 5 times a day? Do you want to post twice a month? We get a lot of questions about how often should I post? And really the answer is however much you want. There's certain guidelines for how often you should post on different networks. But with Twitter, people post all day long, 7, 10 posts a day. Instagram, sometimes people post multiple times a day. For a practice, at least twice a week is probably good on all the networks. 3 to 4 or 5 times a week would be a little bit better, but it's a lot of work to maintain that. You'd also want to create an editorial calendar, look at what you're doing, look at what's happening. If it's Heart Health Month, if it's something's happening, where you want to make sure that you recognize those dates, you want to create that calendar and then think about the content. And then another thing to do once you're planning and once you're cooking along is schedule brainstorm sessions with the team. What's happening? What should we talk about? Because that content eating machine is going to need a lot of ideas. So brainstorm with your team. And there are some great planning tools out there that we use that make it a lot easier. One of them that we use is called, we love Sprout Social. There is tools out there like Hootsuite, which is free. There's CoSchedule, and most recently, Facebook has a planning tool within their Meta, and I don't find it very user-friendly. But what would be great about using something like Hootsuite or Sprout Social is that you can have all of your networks in there, and it's a beautiful calendar, and it's a great way to add those different posts, and so you know you're not over posting on one network or cross posting. The other thing you can use is called BuzzSumo, and what that is a great tool to find out what are hot topics and who's talking about them. So remember, we talked about Twitter is that you can mention influencers as a way to kind of sneakily get your own engagement. Well, this is where you would do that. So you could punch in a topic, see who's getting the most engagement in that topic, and then mention them in one of your posts. They may or may not notice, but it's a great way to get out there, or you can even hashtag that person too. And that's another way of getting your post seen by more people. And then the other thing that's great to do is to always measure and analyze your results. You want to make sure that you understand what content is getting the most engagement. And that's what's great about using those tools like Hootsuite and Sprout Social and CoSchedule, is that you will see which posts and which types of posts are hitting the target and getting the most likes, the most engagement, the most clicks to your bio. And then you want to double down on those types of posts. So I know we're going to get to questions here in a moment. I wanted to let everybody know our session today. that I'm offering a free session to analyze social media. All you have to do is email me at, I think my internet is unstable. I hope I'm back. All you need to do is email me at joanne@growthledge.com, and we can get that session scheduled. We'll go through your social posts, we'll analyze it for you, and we can come back with some tips and tricks that you'll be able to implement right away into your own program, your own networks. Jess, do I read off the cute questions and answers myself? I guess yes. So how big, someone asked me a question, which is, how big does your following have to be to generate a single patient? That is a great question. I don't know that there is an answer to that, of how many followers. The thing that's interesting about followers, which I kind of touched on a little bit, and it depends on which network we're in. Instagram is a great way to have a lot of engagement without people following you. And that's why I really like Instagram a lot. What you would want to do is you can, on your website. So let me explain the path of social posts. So let's say we're in Instagram. When somebody goes to your social post, they're not able to go to, they don't go from your post, they've got to go to your post, they've got to go to your profile, then they've got to click the link. Now, the good news is that Google Analytics will tell you if you're set up properly, if you get a customer or a potential customer through social media, it will show you where that person is coming from. So I don't know if there's an answer of how big does your following need to be to generate a single patient. It's more about the overall metrics of looking at what is the follower growth, what is the engagement, what is the retention, are we getting traffic to your website, and then are we converting your, are we able to convert potential visitors on your website into actual leads? Alicia is asking another question, which ties into the top question, is do we help set up social media posts? Yes, we do. And I just kind of alluded to, that there's a lot more involved in the marketing. So we, as an agency, we provide digital marketing across the board. So what's on your website? How is Google Analytics working? Is your website converting, and is social media working to help with all of those things? Social media is one really important part of a big marketing puzzle. Social media helps you it helps you to build that brand awareness. It takes a little longer to get a lead. So I'm finally getting to your question. It took me a while. I hope that answers your question. And how much time do you spend weekly and daily on social media is the next question. I'm embarrassed to answer because I love Instagram. And true story, I do like Chihuahuas, and that's why I see a lot of Chihuahua posts on my social media feed, as well as comedians. In between all of those feeds, I do get posts from doctors because I might be interested in hormones or my energy or whatever it is, and I do see that. If you're a busy doctor and you're thinking about, well, how am I going to do all of these, how am I going to spend that time on social media. It is a lot. And that's why I would say maybe doing a twice a week posting, it would be a good way of handling that. I see here a question about how to create a link tree or a bit.ly. That's pretty simple. You can just go directly to a link tree and set that up and log in and put your links in there. And then it will give you a link that you would put in your profile bio on Instagram. One more question was answered I saw is, will they be getting the deck? And we can send the deck, right, Jess, if that's okay?
Sure, if you want to, that's fine. And we do put all of our webinars are on YouTube, so you'll be able to go back and watch this again and again as much as you want. So that's also
and again. Are there any other questions for me?
Yes, please. We welcome more questions. And I'm gonna, I was thinking, thank you so much, Joanne, first of all, for all this really great information, kind of demystifying. I know social media can be really overwhelming. And something I've been thinking about is just like, you talked about like a schedule planner, and really, I see, you know, doctors, clinicians as educators in health, right? So, and using social media as a way to educate patients about certain topics. How do you kind of support people around making sure the content is educational but doesn't cross lines, I guess, about what you should share, or how much do you share on social media versus keep for that individual patient interaction? That's a thought I had.
That's a good point. Oh, there we go. That's a great question. So we have a lot of experience of dealing with medical practices and CBD clients as well, where you have to be very, very careful about what you say. And, you know, we do your social media for the Academy. So good couple things is when we're working with clients, we really make sure that they have an opportunity to approve any post that we do before we send it. We make sure we spend a lot of time understanding whether or not, you know, what we can say, what we want to say, but we do keep it a little bit more general. You know, we don't want to be diagnostic on social media. We have to be careful about the words that we use. So we're very experienced in that. And it does take some time with the client to really partner with them to make sure that we're using the right terminology. I have another question here about what percentage of doctors are doing this. I'm not sure what the percentage of doctors are doing this, to be honest with you. I think it's a great way to get out there and to really be able to see, you know, to really connect to your patients. We see doctors who are doing this not so great, and that's why they call us to help them with that. And then some don't do it at all, and they might be very successful and have a thriving practice, and that's okay too. Really, social media is a great way to gain a lot of awareness. It's more of an awareness tool than a lead gen tool. That lead generation tools really needs to come in other areas of marketing. Eric Thompson asked about YouTube, same guidelines. Well, we didn't cover the YouTube today, and it does have a lot of different guidelines, actually. It's a great opportunity, though. It's, you know, the thing about YouTube is that you can become an influencer on YouTube if you make enough content and you engage enough. So but it's a little bit of a different animal there for sure. Maybe I need to just do a YouTube session someday. because that's in and of itself very specific. But you know, there's a question that kind of ties into the vlogging equipment recommendations. You know, right, because of COVID, the video production has kind of gotten a little bit more relaxed. I have a ring light and I have a Logitech camera that's HDMI, and I have kind of tried to make my background look a little cleaner. You could probably get away with that on a vlog. But I do have other recommendations for equipment. I just don't have them in front of me if you want to spend a few $100s on lighting. But you know, I really think if it's if it's kind of a more casual, just going to Amazon and just getting a good ring light for your monitor, make sure it's up high, and like I said, an HDMI video. So other than funneling patients to your clinical practice, what are some of the other advantages and pathways of becoming a social media presence? Well, one of them, as I said, is that you can become an influencer yourself. So I see some doctors that are on Instagram that happen to be part of the AIHM community who are doing doing a really good job on social media, and they're becoming social media influencers. What that means is they're not just, it's not just about seeing clients, they're getting revenue from other streams. But that's on another level of influencer or Instagram, or excuse me, social media activity. I think also, like I've said before, is that personality. The social media gives patients an idea of who you are. So it can become a really great tool that to connect with your patients. And then Lauren, you brought up a great other point that I wanted to touch on, which is patient education. So it's not just about patient education, but also about reciprocity. So if you're giving patients, potential patients, information, they're getting that from you. They're going to feel a certain amount of reciprocity, which is going to increase the likelihood that if they are in your area and they have decided they finally want to pick up the phone and call a clinician to go see them, they'll pick up from you because they feel in a way almost obligated to see you because you've already given them information. Eric Thompson has brought up a great point about citing references. You could cite, if that's important to you in social media, you could cite your references there. You could also keep, you're right, there is a lot of misinformation, but we can keep but you can also keep the information up there, not as, you know, it doesn't have to get too deep into diagnostics. It can be just eat less sugar. I mean, you know, that's a stupid example, but you know, gluten causes inflammation for over 80%. You know, that's, if you wanted to post something like that and post the study in the body, that's great. Or if you're posting a blog, you want to post it to Facebook and you want to cite your reference, that's great. If you want to even go on social media and say, I am always going to post, any post I do, I'm going to cite my references, that's differentiating you as compared to other clinicians out there. That's a great idea. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Joanne. This is so much information. Oh, there's another one coming in
yes.
from Lauren. Mm-hmm.
Yes, if it's in the comments. Yeah, Lauren, that's a great question. We put the hashtags in the comments. It does count in the comments. There's some back and forth about why do it that way.
The question, I'll just say the question out loud so everyone knows.
Yes.
It's about on Instagram, do you need to include hashtags in the captions, or does it count if it's in the comments like later on below the post? So I just want to make sure everyone hears that.
These are in the comments because I mean, I can't believe how lazy we've gotten, because when you put the hashtags in the post, you have to scroll more. So then for a little while, what people were doing dot, 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 so that when you see the post, you just see the post and the hashtags are down here. And then you have to scroll even more. So we tend to put them in the comments. They can go in, it doesn't matter, whichever way you want to put them in there. Hashtags are very important on Instagram, though. That's how people find you. I think I've already said that, but I just want to say it again.
You just have to come up with like a hashtag that kind of means you or your name, or what kind of recommendation?
That's a great question. Thank you, Jessica, for asking me that. So sometimes people want to brand their own hashtags, and that's okay. You can do that sometimes, but really what you want to do is use hashtags that are popular. So you can do hashtag research on the internet. You can find tools that will allow you to do that. And you want to find big hashtags and small hashtags and mix them up. And you don't want to have many more than 10 hashtags per post, because it starts to look like spam. So if you are doing a post about gut health, you might want to research all of the gut health hashtags. You might want to put in a post that says wellness, and you might want to have like, positive changes. Like, so, you see what I'm saying? Like, some are kind of medical, some are kind of fun. You mix those together, and that's what makes them be seen in different ways by different people.
So it's a good idea to research whatever topic you want to post on. What are the most popular hashtags that connect to that topic? Correct. And include that, as well as maybe some of your own for your clinic or your practice that you would include maybe in it as well.
And when you're using a planning software, you're going to see which hashtags are working best for you, and then you want to use those more, but still mix them in with other hashtags that aren't popular, just to give it a blend.
Excellent. Thank you. And thanks to everyone for all of your questions. We know this can be overwhelming, and you're all very busy people already. And I just am really grateful for you all engaging in this topic, and a special thanks to you, Joanne, for sharing your breadth of knowledge and offering that, free consultation or meeting with you, so that folks can learn a little bit more if they'd like to get some tips. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I'll put my email in the chat too when Jessica takes over, so you can copy and paste it, make it easier.
Yes. Awesome. And I'm gonna just, again, thanks to everyone who's here. And I wanted to remind all of you that we've got another webinar next week, and we're gonna get to hear from Dr. Yvette Miller. She is very much involved with the Academy here. She's a co-chair of the BIPOC committee, and she's going to give us the Heart Math, a tool for resilience. She's an amazing person, so I'm really looking forward to that webinar as well. And hopefully those of you that are here can register. I think we can drop the link to the registration right in the chat for you, so you'll be able to quickly hop on and get those emails to remind you about that and get it in your calendars. Also, the early bird registration is still currently open for our conference. We're getting together once again this October, finally after a long time being apart, for the annual conference. And we've got a great lineup. It's around disruptive innovation and the future of health. How do we, address some changes that need to happen, and who are some people that are really making a lot of those innovations? There is CME available, quite a few of CMEs, and we're just, excited to see people in person. However, it's going to be online as well. So we know it's really important to be able to engage in multiple ways, and we are grateful for our virtual community. So, And as always, thanks for being part of this global community. We're doing what we can to lead integrative health globally. And we welcome and thank you all for joining that effort. We are, just welcome to have you, or glad to have you in our community. And these are all the ways you can stay connected with us, as many of you know. And we're going to have this webinar up on our YouTube channel. You can go in and subscribe, but it's all AIHM Global for our social media that Joanne helps us actually, the Academy. She's very leading us in our social media efforts. So this helping us connect with you all as a community. So that's another great place to check out some of her work as well. And thanks as always to all of you. We hope you have a amazing weekend, and we're just grateful for all of you being in our community. Bye everyone. Happy Friday.